I really wanted to have. Because what it really, again, if you like the video, share the video, leave a comment. I appreciate it if you have made it to this point in the video. But yes, indeedy. So a lot of people are talking about Donald Trump and are talking about how this man took away civil rights and all of this and then backslided. Look, that may be true, but we helped Donald Trump do a lot of this. And what the do you mean, Devon? We helped Donald Trump do a lot of this. Let me get started. On this article, this is from, hold on, let me see. Nope, that's not the one I want. Hold on. So this next article that I'm gonna be bringing up is actually gonna be from, I wanna say it's the New York Times. Let me see. Yeah, and so it's gonna be titled, How Trump Upended 60 Years of Civil Rights in 2 Months. So I'm gonna just go to my highlights on this one because I really just wanted to talk about certain stuff. So it says, within a week, Trump's acting Secretary of Labor ordered the OFCCP to immediately cease, and that's under the Department of Labor, and desist all investigative and enforcement activity to close and open all cases a few weeks later. Acting director proposals slashing his staff by 90% in fewer than 2 months. 6 decades of civil rights enforcement was essentially dead. Oh my God. Oh my God. Trump did it. Trump did it. Trump has justified these actions by claiming he is rooting out racial discrimination disguised as diversity and equity and inclusion. Yet in the opening months of his second term, Trump has capitalized on the unpopularity of equality efforts among some Americans, glibly wielding the language of DEI to initiate the broadest of the most significant assault on civil rights and racial integration in this country in more than a century. Now, I'm going to stop there for one moment because I want to touch on the fact that Donald Trump, yes, he may be attacking it, but you all gave him the window and you all gave him the lane. You want to know why? Because this goes to the fact, and I'm gonna do a whole episode on this tomorrow, but a perfect example is what this fool up here in New York is doing named Zohran Mamdani. And what do you mean? How is he helping Trump eat rolls to the rights, Devon? Because, right, when we talk about policy, all these things that have been coming out, all policy is narrative. It's backed by, pushed through, and sold on narrative. It is sold on a story. It is sold on an idea. Now, with that being said, you have Mamdani, who apparently has classified himself as Black African American, right? I hear the left, I hear the Democratic Party, I hear the Cappists saying, no, it's not that bad. But see, this is what y'all missing this. This is what y'all miss. See, when you allow somebody to redefine what blackness is, you undercut yourself. A lot of people was mad at Donald Trump for calling out Barack Obama and calling out Kamala Harris for basically identity lineage switching. When he asked Kamala or made the comments, and again, I know a lot of y'all are going to be like, oh my God, why would you say that? He asked her in a very specific way, like, so all of the times that I donated to you back in the day, when I remember, you were claiming Indian. That in itself isn't so much as xenophobic, isn't so much as black hate, it's so much more than, you know what? I'm going to ask you to make sure that we are on the same page of you doubling down on we know what this is, because we know what blackness is. We know that it is synonymous with being African American. We, as the patriarchy, as the people who created blackness, the white patriarchy who everybody walks around and cries about, we set the rules of engagement. So this is what you're going to double down on? This is what y'all going to double down on for the second time. And I'm not asking because we know. I just want you to say it out loud. And y'all double down on it. And what y'all don't realize in doubling down on it is when you begin to do stuff like that, you open the door for things to be redefined. You open the door for the ops. I'm the Black Anglo-Saxon right now. I'm the ops. You open the door for me to come in and say, you know what? Let's jam and send all this up to the Supreme Court. Because you know what? We know what time our team on. We know we unified. But you know what? Since y'all want to play silly games, cool. We know what black is, but since y'all want to come and use these people and exploit these people, even though you know that you ain't black, let's get DEI out the window. Let's get all this equity and inclusion out the window. Because guess what? Everything means nothing now. You just came from a place. You want these people. So all of the policies that were put in place for this specific story and this specific issue, because in this article, she talks about Lyndon Baines Johnson specifically. Again, if I go back up to the top of it, which I will do, Lyndon Baines Johnson specifically said this is for a specific issue, a specific time, a specific moment, and a specific group of people. But since y'all want to keep playing these games, cool, let's send it up to the Supreme Court. Yeah, y'all helped him do it. You helped him. You made it, boom, open the door. So he just didn't do it by himself. He had y'all help along with the white liberals' help. Because they gave y'all black and brown. Like I said in my last episode, what the fuck is black and brown? Okay, cool. So the diversity, what is diversity? What is equity? What are we including you in? You just got here. And again, y'all can be mad, but the legal argument can be made that y'all don't need a fix. Y'all just got here. But since y'all gonna let them come in and play stupid on y'all name, shit, y'all gonna suffer too, dummy. And this the black Anglo-Saxon talking. I think look, this is how people feel about the Negroes. Y'all gonna let them play on y'all name. I thought you was Indian. I donated to you. When we was talking, that's what it was. But y'all y'all get so butthurt that y'all can't even see when y'all being played. Y'all be getting played, man. It's so fucking crazy. Y'all be getting played. Let me go back to the article, man. It's so crazy. All right. Hold on, let me see. Where was she talking about? Again, right here. Lyndon Baines Johnson. Racists are the most racist. Yeah, the thuggeries are the most thuggeries, you know? Keep trying to tell y'all, man. Watch when somebody allow you to do something. It ain't always, again, if we playing a game of chess and I know the rules and you make this bonehead ass move and I'm like, that's what you doing? That's what we really doing? I know that you made an illegal move. I'm just double checking to make sure that now we just playing to be playing. And I'm doing whatever I want. I'm rocking and I'm rolling. And y'all be out here faking. I'm calling your bluff. Cool. All right. Y'all think shit's sweet. Talking about Donald Trump just did it by himself. I thought that nigga was a moron. Let y'all tell it. He got y'all number. And y'all gonna be mad and talk, man, I forgot my goddamn DNC card. Cause y'all be thinking I'm a Republican just because I be acknowledging how he be whooping y'all ass, like spanking it. Dang. The resounding success of the civil rights movement was in largely convincing American society that racism was wrong, but its citizens never agreed on how best to correct racism's harms. While it seems clear that they say when it comes to crime, passing laws alone is not enough. We can lose sight of the principle when it comes to the right minority groups. If you are a member of racial majority or the group that holds power, rights can feel both innate and abstract, invisible and assumed. But for Black Americans, and this is what y'all be doing to y'all writing. Y'all be conflating and moving it all the way around. Other historically marginalized groups, the right to be treated as equal citizens, to be treated fairly by the government, private companies, and individuals has, for the most part of the history of this country, not been guaranteed. These rights needed to be codified and enforced precisely because the deprivation of those rights was codified and enforced for almost as long as this country existed. When in the past federal government stopped enforcing these laws, those rights have always deteriorated. Now, what I will tell y'all is that you cannot legislate love. You cannot legislate love. Because what happens is y'all keep talking about the civil rights and then you throw in this other marginalized groups. What we aren't having a real conversation about is these other marginalized groups were striving to proximity of whiteness. So when we did civil rights, unfortunately, we were bamboozled by the fact that other people shoehorned their way in so that you can write crazy stuff like that. When in sensuality, we tried to basically use law to create a social norm that never was going to take place because nobody ever actually was held to the fire to believe anything different about Black people, including other marginalized groups, because those other marginalized groups also participated historically in engaging with whiteness to undermine Black Americans, right? And so the de facto and the de jure are Latin terms used to distinguish between what exists in reality, which is the de facto, and what is legally recognized, which is the de jure. And I want everybody to understand these two concepts, because just because you apply something to the de jure does not mean that the de facto changes. There have been legal remedies that have been applied that have not changed the social paradigms. Why is this important? Because when you sit down and you make comments so salacious as to Donald Trump has gutted civil rights, when on the de facto, has there ever actually been civil rights? Because we have all been fighting up until this point, and Donald Trump has taken advantage of everything that is the de facto, despite the de jure. Again, de facto being what is reality, what is we're living in, despite what is legally on the books. He just lied to y'all and said he was going to drain the swamp because he understands that the swamp is there, but he just took advantage of the swamp because he was always with the swamp, even when he was a Democrat. And the Democrats also participated, the liberals also participated in the de facto, because the de jure did not create a big enough catalyst, because there were no real tangible consequences, because everybody, again, still in the de facto don't even support reparations, not because they don't believe in it, because they don't believe that it's possible, because the de facto tells you that, nigga, you live in America, they still hate you. But Trump, the morons got it. What? No. I will not let y'all give that nigga that much credit. Y'all need to stop it. I'm sick of it. Stop giving this nigga so much credit. Y'all, we did it as a group. We did it as a nation. Because guess what? Also, and I'm gonna talk about this tomorrow in my Donnie piece, they went through, because a lot of y'all liberals love to do this. And this is why I don't bang with the left no more. This is why I don't bang with y'all no more. Because, see, they went through race to get to and attack class. Because it was okay when it was the Negroes, but now it's everybody on your ass. Because, see, y'all was cool with it. But now it's class only, it's class only, it's class only, it's class only. But see, this piece right here, the quiet part is out loud. Because y'all don't want to really acknowledge that y'all got used too. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Because when Reagan and all of these people was alive and well and kicking, y'all was loving them. Yes, you was. Let me go back to the article. There's only a little bit more left. My notes. In April, Trump issued another executive order that seeks to abolish the linchpin of modern civil rights enforcement known as disparate impact liability. 60 years after the civil rights movement made racial discrimination illegal. Discrimination is rarely explicit. Disparate impact recognizes that nearly all discrimination today is covert and hidden behind race-neutral policies and actions. When state legislators create new congressional maps that eliminate majority black districts, for instance, they are not going to declare. They're not going to declare that they're doing so to dilute black voting power. But under disparate impact, black residents don't have to prove legislators intended to discriminate. Now, I want to say this about that. And what's up, fam? What's up, fam? I'm going live tomorrow too. But let me finish. Let me finish. Cause I want this point to really get out. Cause this disparate impact piece, I remember a young lady, an astute lady, and Antonio Moore from ADOS went over this when Reverend Al Sharpton was in his case with Comcast, being sued with Comcast for discriminating against another black man named Byron Allen. This is again when all of that, what do you call that, dreamer stuff was going on. I remember it because y'all lambasted Yvette Carnell. Y'all lambasted ADOS. You lambasted Antonio Moore. And they spent their time yearning and warning people about this very thing. But now you write an article in 2025 talking about the very same issue after it's been impacted. And why am I even bringing this up right now? Because y'all talking about Trump did this? Y'all niggas still letting Reverend Al Sharpton walk around like he a goddamn... What? He done sold us out more than a handful of times, and he still get to be at the front and center selling us out more and more again. He just sold us out to Target again. But this Negro, again, Al Sharpton, before this even came into place, Byron Allen lost this position. So now it's just Trump. Now it's just Trump. Again, man, I'm sick of this shit. Y'all give him too much credit. Y'all don't give yourself enough credit for how y'all done fumbled the rock. Take accountability. Y'all want to be smudging blackness and this is what it is. Women can be men. Everything can be everything. Nothing can be nothing. No, this is y'all. This is y'all. That's how we ended up here. Nah, I ain't trying to hear it. Sick of it. Sick of it. Let's go. The resounding success of the civil rights movement was largely never agreed on how best to correct racism harms. While it seems clear that, say, when it comes to crime, passing laws alone is not enough. No shit, you don't say. You don't say. We can lose sight of the principle when it comes to the right of minority groups. Here we go again. By deploying the Civil Rights Act against the very people it was created to protect, conservatives hope to get as close to their ultimate goal as possible, repealing it. The mainstream conservative writer Christopher Caldwell argues the Civil Rights Act of 1964 forced upon society as a new constitution irreconcilable with the first. He has argued that the efforts to enforce the law robbed the South of its democracy and created onerous rules that limited American freedoms. His analysis diminishes the fact that democracy in the South before the Civil Rights Act exited only for whites, and that the act vastly expanded freedoms for Black Americans and other marginalized groups. White men, Caldwell wrote in his 2020 book, The Age of Entitlement, Americans since the 60s fell asleep thinking of themselves as the people who had built this country and woke up to find themselves occupying the bottom rung of an official hierarchy of races. Ain't that about them? And again, this is from the New York Times, people. But I want y'all to be cognizant of the stuff that y'all be saying, man, because Donald Trump didn't make all this stuff up. Y'all be helping this Negro. Y'all be helping him. I really want y'all to understand how y'all be helping him. And I really want y'all to understand that when it comes to a lot of this stuff, especially the big, beautiful bill, it's another trickle-down bill. And it baffles my mind that a lot of Black people can't see the correlation that this is trickle-down policy. Again, for my top earners, I get it. Y'all got that blind spot. Y'all can't really see. But for all of those people who gotta still give money to their peoples and all of this when they get a little bit of cash, understand that that's how this bill is going to impact the top earners. And then when y'all start going off and going up against the institutions, because I do agree with the reality that a lot of these institutions are not necessarily in favor of actual freedom and progress. It'll capitalize you in terms of, like I always tell y'all, the way of Richard Nixon, like it'll extract the resources. And I understand that, again, this is not to say that we should not engage in prosperity, engage in wanting to do better, but also understand in the way that we are striving to do better, sometimes that it creates path for us to be co-opted. And I guess an example of that would be for the Black Lives Matter movement, right? Black Lives Matter movement on its face was a good movement. But when you actually sit down and really assess in retrospect what happened and took place, is that it allowed itself to be absorbed by capital. It allowed itself to actually do the very thing that it was quote unquote saying, and that's debatable. I'm not a Black Lives Matter person, but saying the intent was, it was Black Lives Matter, but not really. It was an opportunity to basically create another slush fund. But again, big, beautiful bill. I'm gonna touch on the Mamdani piece tomorrow, and I'll bring back in that. But I really wanted to touch on, a lot of people talking about Trump and how big and bad he is. And really and truly, man, y'all have created a mess that is easy to take advantage of. I'll just say that. It's easy, man. But like the video, man. I appreciate y'all. Share the video. Again, like I said, I don't be trying to be too salacious up here because I don't really get into that, man. I'm trying to have level-headed conversations. If you agree, if you don't agree, go ahead, curse me out, tell me off. It is what it is. But really, if you trying to really add to it, I have my opinions on how I think we should go about it. Again, like I said, even with the Black Lives Matter thing, I think that for example, it should have been Black Lives Don't Matter because it doesn't allow itself to be co-opted and absorbed by capital for a number of reasons, because it has a negative connotation. It forces people to put the actual conversation on the table in terms of how we are forced to work twice as hard, 3 times as hard to get half of whatever conversation you want to have around that, and all of the different components in terms of things that are out of our control, how like eminent domain was used to create certain conclaves, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that all of those different pieces go into it. Tell me what you think. Let me know in the comments. Again, share the video, like the video, and I appreciate y'all, man, for watching it. If you're watching this on replay, thank you, man. Help us get to a point where we can monetize. I do ask that because that's part of what I'm trying to do in terms of being able to gain access and a voice into a lot of these spaces to have a different perspective, you know? It is what it is. So enjoy the rest of y'all Saturday. I appreciate y'all, you know. Big, beautiful bill. I'm gonna try to get the PDF up for y'all, but be safe. Check y'all again. Catch y'all again.